Okay, Andy, thanks for presenting. You can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, Andy Keeney, up in just outside Lansing, Michigan. I've been building the Nashville Road for the last 20 years or so, and it was over COVID. Several of my friends started coming every Tuesday morning, so we've been getting more done, which is really nice, and it's really developed our friendships too, which is really nice. Some of the guys are on this tonight. But what I want to do is just give you an overview of how I designed or came up with this railroad, designed it, then built it, and there's history to it. Dave Hussman helped me with the history of this railroad back several years ago, and it was really helpful. I have worked with the history, modified it some, brought it into modern day. I won't touch upon that much now, but I am working on that and developing pictures, maps, and that from its inception to today. And I'd like to, I'd like to be able to have maybe dispatcher's office do something on it at a later date. Um, so, anyways, I'll touch upon the history, but not much. And guess we can start from here. I will tell you, there's a lot of slides here. Most of them are pictures. We go through them fast. And I've been doing this, practicing this during the week, and I've been getting it in under an hour by just a couple of minutes. So, also, I don't know. Do you take questions, Eric, and then pass them on to me as
What
we?
we'll do is if people have questions, they should put them in the chat window, and then we will go through the questions when you're all done with your presentation.
Oh, okay, very good. So we'll get started here. Chicago, Indianapolis, Nashville, and Southern Railway, better known. Let me go back. Okay, better known as Nashville Road, um, is something that I created with a lot of thought, which I'll go through now to develop what I wanted to develop. Um, you know, I'm not getting movement of that. Okay, the goals were first of all to include my two favorite railroads, and I've got a lot of favorite railroads, but my two most favorite railroads, the B&O and the Rock Island, and also with Proto Freelance Railroad at that time, yet to be determined. I had the Michigan and Ohio Railroad, which was kind of along the lines of the B&O C&O, and I lost all that equipment in that in 1995 with the house fire. So I got to, good and bad, of course, with something like that. But I got to start again from scratch with model railroading. So from there, I had to develop what I wanted to build, and I used a lot of modelers license in this, although ended up in Nashville. Somebody from Nashville is not going to recognize their city or their station and such on my railroad, but all of us Michiganders think it's pretty cool, and we don't know the difference. So it's worked out well, and the goal was to get a good operating railroad for operations, and that's what I think we've done a fairly good job at, my crew and myself. Um, One of the major goals was also to have both east-west and north-south traffic. The east-west traffic would be B&O Rock Island, and then the Freelance Railroad, of course, would be the north-south. And Chicago and St. Louis were the only two locations I knew of that the B&O and Rock Island met. And I didn't want to use a large city. It's just got too much. You can't model it, even parts of it. It's kind of hard to model it for me. So I decided to look for something else. A couple of cities I looked at were Indianapolis and Nashville. Rock Island didn't make it to Indianapolis, but also it didn't make it to Nashville. B&O, I'm not sure how much it made into Indianapolis, but it wasn't a main line that I know of. And same with Nashville, it came in to the north, but not into Nashville. So I decided I would go ahead and put my North-South Railroad in, starting from Chicago and Detroit down to Indianapolis, and as you can see, through Nashville, Birmingham, and down to New Orleans. So that gave me a good traffic run from the Great Lakes to the Gulf. Then you can see the red line down there. The Rock Island came as far as Memphis. So I decided that I could run it from Memphis over to the main line coming out of Nashville on my freelance road. Hey, excuse me. And I thought that wouldn't work too badly. So looking a little further, the B&O ran from the East Coast, close to the East Coast to St. Louis. And west of Cincinnati, it did come down to Louisville. So I decided I could run the B&O trains from Louisville down to Nashville, the Rock Island trains from Memphis over to the Nashville Road and then up into Nashville. And that would give me an east-west, although with a little bit of a north-south jog there, but traffic-wise, it'd give me east-west traffic. And I've got the north-south traffic built into my own railroad. And didn't have to go very far to come up with the Nashville Road. It worked out fairly easy for me. My wife's from Alabama. I love the South, so I wanted to go in the South rather than further north. So that's what I ended up with. And I think it's worked out fairly well for us. So the next, my mouth, there we go. Next shot here shows you Bowling Green and Columbia. And Bowling Green is the north end of the model portion of the railroad in the basement here, and Columbia is the south end. So that's what we model from southern Kentucky to southern Tennessee. Here's a line drawing that gives you the same information with Chicago and Detroit at the top. Don't worry about the Milwaukee. There's some other stuff that I added in here. And then down at the bottom, you see Columbia to Birmingham to New Orleans. The boxed area is the model portion of the railroad. And here it is a little closer. So all those towns are on the railroad. Okay, the model layout, just to cover that, the middle deck, the main deck, is the city of Nashville, our version of Nashville. Double track main, we wanted CTC it. Right now, I've got all the signals and boards and all that for CTC, but we haven't started on it yet. The lower deck is north of Nashville to Bowling Green. And the lower deck is south to Columbia, and that would be the Columbia sub. The north one is the Bowling Green sub. I picked those names just to make it a little simpler for my crews to know where they're at or where they're talking about. Let's see. Both the upper and the lower deck are mainly single track with passing sidings, and they're dark territory with timetable train orders. Staging, there's 42 trains in 5 staging yards, and I'll show you those in a minute here. The other nice thing for us is we use the room as a helix, or they call it an olix, some people call it. And you're looking at the railroad, you're always looking west. South is always to the left, and north is always to the right. So that helps also. Because we do timetable train orders and that, we wanted to get some distance across the railroad. So I went with 12 foot to the mile, or smile as some people call it, scale mile, or whatever they'd like to call it. And it came out to about 96 miles from staging to staging. Okay, the Nashville Road itself, we already covered the name. Now, modern day, it's majority owned Now we're talking 1956. Majority owned by the L&N and Milwaukee Road. It went in and out of receivership and bankruptcy, and that's what it's ended up with at this time. Nashville is a division point for the Nashville division, and that's Louisville to Birmingham. A Bowling Green sub is Nashville to Louisville, and the Columbia sub in Nashville to Birmingham. There are two freight yards on the model portion. That's Gresham Yard, which is the main yard in Nashville, and Cedar Hill Yard is a smaller satellite yard to the north, and that's a pretty busy yard with several trains working out daily. And then the Nashville Union Passenger Station. So we have 5 supporting railroads. B&O and Rock Island are major supporting railroads, and then the L&N, NC St. Louis, both run 2 trains per day, one to each of the main yards with transfers. And then the Tennessee Central comes out of staging, works 2 towns, and then goes to an interchange with the Nashville Road, and then it works back to staging. So the layout design, 3 levels plus staging. So the lower staging is 16 inches, and that used to be it still is a backbuster, but it's a lot better now because we finally, thanks to one of our guys, Ken Johnson, he has gotten all the switches set up with macros, and we can handle those things by throttle. So just hit one button and all the switches line up for whichever track you want. Deck height, 31 inches for the first deck, 45 for the middle deck, and 62 for the upper deck. They do vary a little, but that's pretty much a median for those 3. And then upper staging is at 62. Okay, this is the lower staging. This is 12 tracks, not yet in use. It's the one Ken's working on now. The one on the other side, you can see a caboose, and there's more trains down the other side there. Those are the ones we're using right now. There's 10 tracks on that side. And this one, you still see some stuff sitting in the yard here on these tracks. So we will get this one operational in a not too distant future, since we are finally getting our passenger operation going. So we'll be adding passenger trains. Okay, here is the helix that takes us from the 16-inch level, the staging, up to the lowest level, 31-inch. And that's the only helix we have in the on the layout. So down here is your 16-inch staging. Here's your 31-inch level. Here's 45-inch, and this is the main yard, Gresham Yard. And then up here is 62. Here's another picture. This is 31 inches. And Jim, a good friend of ours that passed away in the last week, sadly, he came to every session he could make. He'd sit here and he'd operate this yard the whole day, and we're going to miss him. But that's 31 inches. That's 45 inches and 62 inches. So talking of the Nolix now, it's the room that becomes the helix. Down here in the corner right, you'll see the main line. This is a passing siding. And the main line back here, you can see it, it's climbing, because this is the level it was right here. And, oh, going the wrong way. Here it is continuing to climb, and it goes into a hole in the wall right there. Comes around the furnace, and these are removable very easily in case we have to get in there and work. And it comes out in this this location here, and this shows you inbound here and comes out right here. And while we're looking at this picture, this is a second deck. The viaduct across South Nashville goes into the hole here and comes out here. And then this just continues to climb up to 62 inches. And then this one here is the loop that brings the trains coming in staging around and back into staging here. So they're ready to come back out once we're ready to operate them. Okay, the aisles. And the aisles can be very important, especially when we get older for a couple of reasons, our girth and also getting around. We got to be a little more careful with our balance and such. This aisle is the main aisle and it's 4 feet wide. This looks like it bulges out, but it doesn't, it's vertical. Here's a picture from the other way. So 4 feet, you sure wouldn't want it any smaller because we've got multiple people working the yard. We got crews coming, their trains coming in and out. We got people walking back and forth here. So it was important that we had that 4 feet. This is another aisle that's not quite, it's about 3.5, if I'm not mistaken. It will be busy because here's the passenger operation. And we've got yards on both of these, or towns with switching on both of them. Okay, here's Jim again, and you can see Jim is sitting in about the worst position. This is the pinch point. So sitting in this chair makes it worse. Some of the guys sit in those old roller chairs, but the problem with the roller chairs is the balance is not really good on them. If I had to do it over again, I'd probably want to shorten this peninsula maybe at least half a foot. So it'd give me a little bit more room. But normally, this person would be sitting down between the two aisles here, or the two peninsulas where it's wide open, because he's working at that end of the yard. But Jim has moved down here to do a little switching. Okay, 5 staging yards across the railroad. We'll start with Bowling Green. So there's 10 tracks in Bowling Green. Something I'd like to point out is you'll see some equipment that's a little out of date. We'll talk about that a little later. Some equipment that's not painted for the railroad. This happens to be a friend's that he wanted to run. I said, that's fine. Milwaukee Road is going to be seen on this. Their power will be seen on trains going across the Nashville Road. And same with the L&N. And then this is one of 9 Jeeps that I have painted. Craig Wilson painted these for me and did a really nice job. I decaled them, but we're just starting now to get into the painting of equipment. And you can see a fair amount of B&O equipment also here. Okay, at Columbia staging, we have steam, and I should tell you that the sub from Bowling Green, and I'm sorry, from Nashville to Birmingham is the last bastion of steam in the mid-50s. And you'll see all steam power coming up here from Nashville. This is double-headed. A lot of them are double-headed. And that means we run them with 2 crews, no consisting steam engines. And then we've got Rock Island coming in here also. And that designates or signifies the west. They go west from here. And another shot of it. Here's some more double-headed steam, and you can see unarticulated. Got some heavy engines. Okay, at Guthrie we have the L&N and Tennessee Central staging. At this time the L&N are sitting in the open right there. I might put some kind of a view block up in front of them, but it's nothing of priority. I can show you a little bit further down here the track that goes from the L&N onto the Nashville Road main. When the trains come back in, they go through that hole, they loop around the back of the end of the peninsula, and then they park here and they're ready to go again. This one is just a stub-ended staging track. The Tennessee Central comes out of this, and he will work 2 towns and the interchange, and I'll show that a little bit more later. And then he comes back and ends up inside there. Franklin is the NC St. Louis. The town of Franklin is where they come out of. And you can see I've got a view block built up here and the 2 trains there. And they and the L&N do go, one goes to each of the main yards each day. Okay, Gresham Yard. This is the main one. It's a long one. Actually, they're both long. The Ribo Yard's very long too. We've got down here a local yard, and this is the class tracks. We got AD tracks back behind. I'll get a couple of shots here. The leads coming into the main or to the yard come off the main off to the right, and they drop down in, and the three tracks to the back are the three AD tracks. The fourth track is a thoroughfare track. And then you can see this is the first switch to the first classification track. So there's 6 of those down here. Go a little further. You can see this train is very long. It's a lot longer than we normally run. But you can see the caboose still up coming down off the hill. So he's on 81. You'll probably cut off and bring the rest of the cars onto the next track. Then the crews will take over, and they'll start switching out the train into the class track. These 2 tracks in the front are the leads to the local yard. And normally we'll have one open, so the local crew can come down to this end and get behind the cars that are going to work into the local yard. And it's worked out pretty good for us. Okay, this is Kevin. I call him my third deck man. He's way over 6 foot. And here he makes it look like this is a 31 inch, but this is 45 inches. And Kevin is one of our yard operators. He just gave us our division yesterday, gave us a good program on yard operations for the guys that weren't experienced. Okay, again, local yard. You can see the 2 drill tracks coming in and the cab track. And just a different angle for the local yard. And this is the not dispatcher, the yard master's desk, so to speak. And he's got a 15 card slot box here to handle all the tracks. And we get into the engine facilities. First, I did a few shots of the steam facilities. And none of them have been painted yet. It's something I do want to do. Weather them well, since they're well-worn engines by the time 56 rolled around. And then you can see the diesel servicing facilities on this side. And here are some of the, again, some more modern equipment we'll talk about. Some of the newly painted Jeeps. Okay, Cedar Hill Yard is the satellite yard that's north of Nashville. And you can see it's a pretty good sized yard here. They've got several tracks and it's busy, but take you back in time a little bit. And this is what, it's a poor quality picture, but one of the few I have of what it was when I first started working on it, and just spent a little bit of time here. First of all, we had a main line, then we had a passing siding, and then 2 tracks here. We're going to work the quarry, stone quarry. And I decided that it was kind of a waste to have another passing siding here, since I had one not too far down to the left or back behind us to the right. So I decided I could get rid of this one, and I could actually add another yard that would probably be a lot more helpful. So if you see these supports right here, I removed them and I moved them over so they're just 2 inches out from the 2x2. And that gave me a lot more room here. And I put in another piece of plywood to widen this out. And here you can see where they were. And now they're moved over behind this, the backdrop. A new piece of plywood's in here. You can see it right down here. And this is the new main line. And we added a lot more operation to it by doing that. There's a quarry. And John Hartman's been working on the quarry, doing a nice job We still got a ways to go, but it'll be real nice when we get done with that. So you can see all the tracks now that we've got in there, and that's worked out very well for us. And this is the other end. It's got more industries to put in here. Now, Ribo Yard is the other big yard, and it's shared by the Rock Island B&O and that Ribo, the two railroads. The Rock Island goes out to the far end, and the B&O comes out this end, goes north this end. This gives you a better view. That other view kind of makes it look really compact. So you've got a double track main back here. You've got two ADs, and this is a thoroughfare. Cab tracks back there with the big office building they've got, and then the class tracks. Okay, Nashville Union Pasture Station. We've been working on this, several of the guys. Ron St. Laurent has done a lot of work on this on the electrical end of it, and you'll see that here shortly. Okay, this double track main, and this is the raised track that was behind the main yard, Nashville Yard, and then it came over by the steam engines. It came across to the outside, so it stayed elevated. The rest of the track is down low. So, but at this point here, these two tracks that you see go into the passenger station or the terminal. They're right here, and then they spread out. This area here, we were just putting some basic sand or dirt, I should say, down just to give us, get rid of the plywood, but we're still working in this area. You can see some of the dwarf signals that Ron has put in. I'll discuss that a little bit more. This is the trailer on flat car yard. The Rock Island B&O have two tracks, and the Nashville Road also has two tracks. So this is looking the other way at the station. This is an 8-foot long U.S. Post Office. One of the goals I had, and you'll see some other buildings here. One of the goals I had was try and make the trains look small by making the buildings look bigger. So with the station being up over the tracks, that helps. With the train sheds, that helps. And then with the long, taller buildings in the background, I think it helps. I always love the looks of the trains coming into Chicago when you're looking down from the buildings. Of course, you don't get that here, but I got a little bit more of a feel of a larger city with this. Then before I go back, right here is a covered area for all the post office mail cars, the baggage mail and that comes in. That's what this engine's doing now. He's bringing some over to shove them back in there. Ron did some really nice lighting, as you can see in here also. We had a 20-foot strip of those LEDs. He cut them all up into little pieces and wired them up so they were like you can see them, so many inches between lights. And also, I forget how many dwarf signals, but we got a bunch of dwarf signals. I think it's better part of 30 signals total. And the station, just a quick story about the station. This was built by a gentleman in Indianapolis, who passed away. And the club had the station, this model, inside this window, I was told, on their model railroad. And when the hotel took it over, they had to move the club out. And they had this big station with nowhere to use on anybody's layout. They came up early on to see what I was doing, and they said, "Have we got the station for you?" And they kindly brought it up to me, and I tell you, it's one of my prized possessions. That, and I can point down to the lower left corner. you can see just a little bit of a stone arch bridge. That's another, I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes or a little bit later. So as you can see, I used some N scale stone down below for foundation, and I think that worked out really well right here. And I was really happy the way that all this worked out. I used a wood support for the station and the roadway up above. And this continues from the post office all the way over to the REA building, which you'll see. And there's 7 tracks here for the passenger trains. So we got the 7 tracks. You've got 4 foot at both ends, and over 3 feet there. You got 11 feet of track under cover. And it's all built so we can lift it up because we know we're going to have that day that we're going to have to lift it up. So it's going to be easy to, or fairly easy to remove, to take care of crashes and stuff like that. The REA building in the background here is 7 foot long, and that ties to the post office on the other side underneath the roadway. And this is part of what I was talking about, making the railroads, the trains look a little smaller. And you can see I've got an NW5 here, and now one of my prized possessions. Since I worked years ago on the C&O and used to go up, I was a fireman though, I wasn't an engineer, but we'd take the E-units, passenger units up to Fort Street Station, set them up in the morning. And this engine by then was long gone, but that's the same place that it worked. And this is actually painted for unit number 1, Fort Street Union Depot. So just a couple of shots, different angles. You can see all the signals. And these dwarfs protect the switches. They're not for controlling the routing of the locomotives or anything. If you don't have the switch assigned to you, you're going to get a red. You can see this one's yellow, it's lined up, got a red, and it's against them here. And this is out the other way. You'll see this, this here. We'll talk about that in a minute. Got one at this end also. We got one at both ends. And this is the Topsy, just one picture of the Topsy yard. Better shot at the other end. Okay, this used to be the hump yard purveyance, and it was with wires and tubes. And I didn't trust it. I wasn't getting enough throw to get good point throws. So we decided not to do that, not to use that. But what we did was converted this. Ron St. Laurent did. He came up with a design, converted this so it actually moved a slide switch. It was little cheap electric slide switches. And when he's moved the slide switch, it also powered up the tortoise, and the tortoise powered up the dwarf signal. So through this, we get to take care of both the switches and the dwarfs, which it worked out really nice. And it really took care of the problem I was having with the switches. Okay, this comes around the bend where these engines are sitting. They're a friend's engine sitting there. And that's where fuel, sand, and all that would sit. And this track here is a servicing track for passenger engines that need quick servicing before they get back on their trains. And that's this track right, let's see, this one right here. And got coach yard. These are the 2 leads coming in off the main up here, come across and down here into the passenger station. And this is the end here. This is, let's see, right here. There's a turntable and a roundhouse that not finished constructing yet. But this track right here goes across and in. So if you have steam engines working passenger trains, they would be serviced over here. Then they come back through. And that would be coming through here. Okay, now some of the industrial switching areas. Madison is one that the guys really like because you get off on your own and you don't get in trouble. So as long as you get the job done, you get back, we don't care what time, how long it takes. You're having a good time and you're off by yourself and it works out. There's a runaround track here. And then he's got several industrial tracks. And then you can see another run around here. So it makes it pretty nice for operating. And this looking down on it gives you a little bit better view. And Frank's one of our regular Madison guys. I think he cheats, but he seems to get that quite often. So it works out pretty good. North Gresham is just before you drop down into the main Gresham yard. So you've got here the Ford Motor Company. As you can see, it's not finished. Another view of that. And this is where the main drops down to go to the lower deck. Produce Company. It'll handle 14 produce cars, reefers. And some flats here that I've just put up just to get something up in place. This is North Gresham, and here's where you got the two mains. This is the Madison lead going down to the place I just showing you. And then you've got the two leads into Gresham Yard that drop down into the yard. Okay, downtown industrial, won't spend a lot of time, but this is the diesel engine facilities, some of the tracks that go into that. This will be a powerhouse and full trains will be brought in here, and then storage tracks. Here's a coal storage, and then over here is LCL freight house. It'll handle up to 28 40-footers. South Ribo and South Nashville Industrial District, and they come off the end of Ribo that I showed you, the B&O in Rock Island. So this is mainly produce and that. I should point out a lot of these buildings are just stand-ins. Something I had to have a building there, but they will all be replaced. I've actually got of the Walthers modular kits. I started buying them like crazy. I've got about 140 of them. So I've got the kits. I just have to find someone that likes to play with them. And this is another part of the South Rival. And then this is looking back up to the yard. Okay, this is South Nashville now. This track that goes from here under, this is actually double track main, and this is where double track main ends, CTC, it will end, and goes into dark territory, single track. But this track here takes us down to South Nashville, and there's some industries it works on the way. Here's those two industries, and this is the track that goes to South Nashville. Here it comes out here. Here's the main that's climbing. It climbs up, it goes across the viaduct, goes into the wall, and then comes out here. So then it's on the third deck. So this area here needs a lot of buildings, but it'll give you an idea of what we'll be doing in this area. Now, these buildings are going to have truck docks in the back, and the trucks will be parked under the viaducts into the buildings, and then railroad docks along the front. And this shows you Madison and South Nashville. And then down here, this track that comes around, we'll be talking about that shortly. That is the Hunter branch. And then this is where the other powerhouse is, and 30-car trains are brought in here. I should say coal hopper. Okay, town of Guthrie. We have some more industries here that we switch. This is where I was showing you where the NC St. Louis, not NC, the L&N comes out here, crosses the Tennessee Central, and then comes on to the Main, Nashville, Maine. And this is where Nashville, Maine goes from single track to double or double to single as you're heading away from the camera. And Tennessee Central comes out and comes across both the L&N and the Nashville Road. And these are customers, and this is customer for the Tennessee Central, and their trailing point switch is on the way back. So you'll see in a minute the town of Adam. It's over here, so the track will come out there. That's just looking down on the track work. And here's Ron, St. Laurent, switching the industries at Guthrie. Okay, so this track you can see on the lower left, that is the Tennessee Central track. Comes from behind this building. It's right here, this track. Oh. Sorry, all. Let me, okay. Okay, got that set. So Tennessee Central comes in and he works customers along here, and there'll be fascia building flats along here for these industries. You can see them along in this area. And then the Nashville Road works the other industries. Now, this is the bridge I was talking about. Matt Lappin in Indiana, a friend of mine, had this on his railroad, and he decided to, he didn't need it anymore. And he offered it to me. So I zipped right down to Indiana, and I got this from, and it's heavy. It's on a heavy piece of wood, and it's all heavy plaster. And if you haven't seen this before, it's actually a kit. Each of these is one piece, there to there and there. Same on this. And then the bottom piece is a separate one. And, oops, sorry. And anyways, I brought it home and painted a different color that I wanted and added a second track. So now this track that these cars are on, the interchange track to the Nashville Road from Tennessee Central. And you can see it here a little better. So southbound trains that are coming this way can stop, pick up, I know we're talking about Nashville Road trains, can pick up their cars going south and set off the cars that are going to Tennessee Central. And then the northbound train would do the same on this side. So that's worked out fairly well. Hickory Junction is a paper mill. Right now, there's basically no buildings. We're going to have almost all flats all the way across the back. And you can see it all the way over to here. The other end is the incoming paper and chemicals and all that. And this side is going to be the outbound. There'll be 8 cars can be loaded each day. Okay, the Hunter branch here against paper mill. The Hunter branch actually starts right there. So this track comes around and it will go to Hunter. It's right here. It's dropping down. It's actually not dropping down. The other is climbing. This will go around and under. You can see it come out here. And it works a couple of towns, small towns along the way. And as you say, I've done nothing but laid the track. And it comes into Hunter. And Hunter, this is the main line, passing siding, and then there's industries here. At one time in the history, this branch line continued on down the road, but it was cut off at this point. Now pulpwood cutters put their cars, we put the empty cars and they load them up here. And this is a busy place too, the feed mill. Okay, South End. South End is everything from Nashville on to Columbia. So South End actually starts right about where I was talking about the end of the double track main, where dark territory. And you'll see the station about three times. I put it up in each place just to have a nice station up there. Um, let's see. This is the town of Cassidy. We've got nice. I got background buildings I put up there just to make it look like there's something there. But I just put them up. They worked out really well. I really like these, and these are N scale to make them look like they're a little ways away. I should point out Sean Bilsma built this. It's a wood kit. And I had paint that I used, colors that I used elsewhere. And he went and got these all matched up and got it painted exactly the same color. And it did a beautiful job. And same with the shingled roof. Here it is again. And now this is Brentwood. And in Franklin, we don't have much behind Franklin at this time. And Franklin is where the two trains for NC St. Louis will sit. There's passing siding at Franklin, and there's one at Cassidy I didn't point out. This is Ian Grove. These are N-scale buildings, and there's our Cassidy station again. And then this is just some areas with hills and that, little scenery, so I took a couple of shots of trains going by them. Yeah, okay, sounds good. Okay, so this is Spring Hill, and it's the last station on the south end. Next would be Columbia Staging. So, okay, I can go through this. I'm not going to spend time on the paperwork, but just show it to you. I would like to do another program later for you if you're interested. This is the break room. In here's the dispatcher's office. The dispatcher's desk, his phone, speaker, and this is the train order board that he controls all the train order signals on the railroad. There's a signal, they're made basically of plastic and they've not held up very good. We do have a phone system. The phones are on a party line, so it works great. Pick it up, hear someone talking, so you don't talk till you can. It's quiet. 10 fast clocks. The fast clock in the dispatcher's office. This is a phone or should say a clock system that Ron St. Laurent made, and it's a kit. Had some problems with it. Worked with Mike Dodd, the guy, the person that sells these, and got it fixed. They took a lot of time getting it done. Ron made these just so we could see how the system worked. Break room, a little on the messy side. Throttles all hang up here. This is a board that guys can sign up for the trains they want right here. And this is what I can spend more time on at a later time. I'll just show you these boards. You see they're putting their name tags up there so they can grab whatever train they want. These are all the trains on the 24-hour period. Okay, timetable that we created, the clearance card. You have to have a clearance form to get out on the railroad, and that's what we use. This is the type of train order we use. And the car cards and the waybills, and I'm not even going to get into them today. Craig Rosenberger built more than 40 boxes, about 45, 46 boxes for me from anywhere from 1 up to 46. I'm sorry, up to 15 slots in a box. So here's the 15 right there. And again, they're talking a little bit about how we deliver the cars, how we read the codes and that, and I'm not going to get into that. Okay, so now we're a little fun. So these are just shots of the guys working. There's Bob Butler and Craig Rosenberger. And there's our friend Jim again. Future. Okay, we're going to have a 1969 version, and that's why we're working with the Alcos. I've got over 30 Alco Centuries that I'm working on for road trains and such. So, and that's it.
All right, we've got a couple of questions.
Okay.
One, hold on. First one from Jerry. I love your setup with the switches mounted on their own shelf, the manual or the ground throws on the little stub. How do those work? I mean, those are rod driven, are they not?
Yes, I've got an actual program somewhere on YouTube of how I did it, but I route a brass tube, actually aluminum tubes, a little easier. I route them out to the switch, run a sloppy wire, and you don't want tight because then it gets in there, jams it up. Just run a wire in there, hook it to the throw bar, and then at the other end on the shelf, put a Caboose Industry ground throw on it, and it's worked out well. Like I say, I've done a video program that explains it a lot better than that.
Okay.
So
The other question is about uncoupling at industries. You're using PICs, aren't you?
yes, we are.
Okay. I think that's it for the questions. Well, let me flip the security here. Hold on.
Okay.
If anybody else has questions, you can unmute yourself and ask, or just type it into the chat.
One thing, I
Question.
don't know if did you get my email I sent you the other?
Yeah, I saw that. I haven't had a chance to reply, but
Oh,
we
okay.
can.
All right. I'll talk to you about it later.
Yep.
I may miss this. Is it basement railroad?
I'm sorry.
This a basement railroad?
Oh, yes, it is. It's in my basement.
How large is your house?
And
Well, let's see. The foundation is kind of it's not square rectangular. But overall it's 48 feet by 56 feet. But it's more like a T. So it's 48 feet on the base of the T, and then across the top, it would be 58 feet.
wow, pretty good size. Now is that 16 feet for your staging yard, or 16 inches? I'm sorry, for the staging yard. Is that pretty low for the? Are we happy with that, or is that
No,
difficult?
we all hate it, but it works well for us. So now we've got the switches set up so they work, with our throttle, no problem. And what we do is we pull one train out at a time, rebuild that train, and put it back onto it, put it into its track. So that's not too bad. I like the one at 62 inches a lot better. Stand on a little step and it's right in front of you.
All right, thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions from anybody? Okay. Well, thanks, Andy, for presenting. And like I said, we'll schedule that follow-up session for May if you want to do that to cover your ops paperwork. That would be great.
Oh, that'd be great. And I can add to it then because
Yep.
I had to keep it simple there.
Yep.